This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is John Arbuthnot. He is the CEO of Delta-9 Cannabis. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you, DN on the TSX and VRNDF on the OTCQX. John, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. So let's start off with a quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Delta-9, we're actually one of Canada's oldest cannabis companies. Founded back in 2012, and in 2013, we became the fourth licensed commercial cultivator under the Health Canada MMPR program, producing medical cannabis and distributing that to patients across the country. Now, the early years of the Canadian medical cannabis program were quite modest. 2017 obviously became the real exciting year in the Canadian cannabis space. We knew that legalization was coming. Delta-9 raised $10 million throughout the year in 2017. We listed our shares on the Toronto Venture Exchange in November 2017. Since that time, the company's raised about $80 million through a mix of debt and equity to fund the expansion of our various businesses. We now consider ourselves one of the few vertically integrated and diversified plays within the Canadian space. So three main business segments for us. Firstly is the Health Canada cultivation processing side. So we're licensed for cultivation, processing, extraction, and wholesale distribution of Delta-9 branded consumer packaged cannabis products across 6 Canadian provinces. We are also a licensed retailer. We currently operate 9 bricks and mortar, again, Delta-9 branded cannabis retail stores across the prairie provinces here in Canada. And we operate what we call our B2B segment. This is really the infrastructure, the picks and shovels segment. So it's sales of our proprietary growing platform, sales of cultivation equipment, and providing consulting and licensing services to other licensed and pre-licensed cannabis operators. So those three segments combined, again, giving investors a very diversified exposure to the Canadian and North American cannabis space through Delta-9. Company shares now trade on the main board Toronto Stock Exchange, as you said, under the symbol DN. And OTC in the United States under the symbol VRNDF.
Very good. And so what would you say makes Delta-9 unique and different compared to some of your peers out there?
Yeah, so, two main components are really the focus of the company. And, firstly, and as I've mentioned, it's that diversified approach. The cannabis industry in Canada is very new. That's created a lot of risk and uncertainty. And we've seen the missed execution from a number of our competitors leading to losses, to write-downs, to sales of assets, things like that. So that diversified approach has allowed us to continue to grow revenue quarter over quarter. Company has an excellent track record of revenue growth. If you look back to the company listing its shares in 2017, we did about $1 million in revenue that year. The next year was 7.6 million. The next year was 32 million. This year, 2020, as of the end of the third quarter, the company was pacing for more than 50 million in top line revenue. So really demonstrating that track record of continued revenue growth through that diversified revenue approach. Secondly, is a real focus on that inflection point to profitability. And the company for 2020 was really that point. Through the first 9 months of the year, the company had, over the last 4 quarters, through the first 9 months of 2020, company had been profitable from operations in 3 out of those 4 quarters and was showing positive adjusted EBITDA for the 9 months of 2020, 1.9 million. Positive cash flow from operations for the first 6 months of the year. So demonstrating to the market not only that there's revenue growth, but there's sustainability and profitability in this business model. And I think those two factors combined have made us a very unique story in the Canadian space.
Very good. And what's your background? What led to your founding of Delta-9?
Yes, I've been working in the medical cannabis space since 2008. At that time, cannabis was really, treatment of last resort. Only a few thousand patients across Canada. Started working on a business model that would allow for commercial cultivation and distribution of medical cannabis products. Again, early in about 2010 to 2012. We started working with Health Canada at that time. It gave us essentially a working relationship with government, with our regulator. This led that, when Health Canada started to commercialize that program into 2012 and 13, we became a very early applicant and then a very early recipient, again, the 4th licensed commercial cultivator within the cannabis space. We were one of the first groups to establish commercial production and distribution operations. And that experience, makes us, I think, one of the longest running management teams throughout the Canadian space. And I think, you see the wealth of that experience, the benefit of that experience start to reflect on the company's financial and operating results.
Very good. So to close out this interview today, my final question for you is, from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now for 2021?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of growth for 2021, the company has a few main drivers. And firstly, on the Health Canada license production distribution side of our business, it'll be continuing to increase our grams sold towards our license capacity here. We are really shooting for efficiency, productivity from these assets, continuing to drive down cost per gram, continuing to increase our wholesale cannabis revenue. That will include new product lines as well. The company has always invested in automation of key processes and also product development. So really rounding out our portfolio, dried flower, cannabis pre-rolls, as well as things like edibles, vaporizable products, ingestible oils, really rounding out that consumer package profile of Delta-9 branded products. So investors should keep an eye on updates as we continue to develop that product line. Retail store openings. The company is undertaking an ambitious expansion plan for retail. Again, 9 operating stores currently, looking to increase that number up to 20 operating stores throughout this calendar year. So look to see our progress for new store openings throughout the calendar year. And the B2B side of our business, very interesting. This is the picks and shovel side. This is where we can actually see exposure to the United States market. As a TSX listed company, we're prohibited from activities touching the cannabis plant within the United States, but we can sell infrastructure. So we can do those non-plant touching businesses. So we've now built out facilities in Michigan and Maine for third parties. We're starting to expand our reach for our B2B business into the United States, obviously giving us now exposure to some of the excitement and upside that we're seeing through the most recent election cycle and obvious excitement around US-based legalization. So I think a lot to look forward to there for investors. In terms of our year-end results, investors should expect guidance on our 2020 year-end within the next 2 weeks and formal results to be coming out around mid-March this year.
All right. Well, with that, John, where can our audience go and find everything they need to know to follow along the Delta-9 story?
So obviously all of our documents are available publicly online on SEDAR and on the company's website, delta9.ca. Click the invest button. It's all the information that you need, from fact sheets to investor presentations to all of our most recent financials and management discussion documents. So all of that available. Please do your due diligence and check out Delta-9.
Thank you, John. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you the best of luck. Stay safe, and I look forward to our next update.
Thank you. Cheers.